Bedrosian throws to Sandberg, and the pitch is grounded to second base. Thompson has it, throws to first. It's over. 27 years of waiting have come to an end. The Giants have won the pennant.
All right, we are back. Brad is back from vacation. Looked like you had a great trip.
Yeah, it was good. It was relaxing. It's funny. The last time we went to Las Vegas, the kids, it was 3 years ago. It was before the pandemic. The kids were in that age where it was like, pool. Let's go to the pool. Can't wait to get to the pool. First thing in the morning, sunblock up. Let's go to the pool. This time, we had to like fight them to get to the pool, man, because they're teenagers now. So it's like, let's go shopping. So almost every day was, let's go to the strip, let's go to this mall, let's go to this place. So
let's go out to eat at this fun restaurant.
Yeah, which was cool. I like that part of it. We didn't get a whole lot of pool time, but we did get, since it was so hot, the pool time started around like 5 p.m. You'd go out there. Bring a little food with you, some beers, and just kind of hang out. So it was relaxing. It was nice.
So the Giants are playing the Braves right now as we are having this conversation. Austin wins, wrapped a line drive around the foul pole, and the Giants staked out a 4-0 lead, but Desclafani gave up a jack to Ozuna, and it's 4-2 right now. It's still only in the second inning.
Yeah.
His first inning was like 7 pitches, get out of there, and then the second one, it's felt like it's been an hour. He's struggling here in the second inning, but
made some good pitches. He's hitting 95 right on the gun.
Yeah.
So
this second inning, he's already at 27 pitches, and it's 1-1 count, and he's got 2 outs though. They got the third out here. So we'll keep everyone abreast of the game as we're talking about it. It's kind of fun to talk about the current game while we're talking about what happened over the last 10 days. So before we get to that, because that's kind of what we're going to do, is we're just going to go back and say, oh, what's happened since Brad left? And we'll catch up, and we'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on right now, and we'll look at this weekend. And if we have time, I kind of want to look at this wild card race, because the fact that the Giants are playing the Braves, it just is fresh in my memory how crazy the wild card race in the National League is going to be, because all of these teams, Giants, Padres, Braves, Cardinals, they're all really good baseball teams, and they're all going to be buyers at the trade deadline. And nobody's going to fall off here. And I guess that's why they wanted to add the third wild card, is because you want everyone to try and compete. So we'll talk about that at the end if we can get it in. But before we do that, what is your beverage of choice today?
Yeah. So, I told you I had been drinking less as kind of the summer hit, and trying to get the beach and swimsuit bod in action. So, I cut back on the carbs, the drinking and stuff. When we were there in Vegas, though, I did fall in love with, that drink ice, right? So it's called ice, and it's like a fruit drink, but it's not, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. Some green tea extract, no sugar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a really good kind of fruity beverage. It's just, like a carbonated water with a little bit of flavor to it.
Okay.
So I took the pink grapefruit one, which had green tea extract, but again, no sugar. I think it's like 10 calories in the entire bottle.
So what's the sweetener in it?
I
know you're a big stevia guy. I don't think it's stevia.
I think that's what it is. Now I got to look it up.
Is it stevia? Huh.
Is it?
I just don't. Okay. I don't know if it is or not, because stevia, usually the drinks that have stevia, they put it on the branding, right? So it's like,
yes,
like the soft drinks that you usually get.
Oh yeah, so it's got stuff I probably wouldn't normally drink. It's got sucralose, maltodextrin, and mannitol.
Ooh, mannitol.
I don't even know what that is. So, yeah. So I'm one of those, but it's good. I have it on occasion. It's not.
Yeah.
So I had like 2 of them while we were there, but I mixed that with tequila, and then put a little bit of lime in there and stuff. And those were good drinks. So I enjoyed those because
Good.
low calorie, low
Yeah.
sugar, not low on mannitol. apparently. So
mannitol sounds a little bit like a sexist sweetener.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like you squeeze it from a manatee, right? Maybe you just
there
take
you
a
go.
big fat manatee and squeeze out what I don't know. So I did start enjoying the beers though while we were there too, because I was having some low alcohol beers. One of them that I was craving when I got back and I grabbed it is Sierra Nevada's Sunny Little Thing. It's a citrus wheat ale. It's only 5%, so it's kind of low. I'll give you that.
There you go.
There we go. Crack it and pour it. You'll see my expert pouring skills here. You get a little head going and then bust it out. And you get a little stop right there. Perfect.
There you go.
So
right on.
There you go. So that's what I have today. One of my favorites during the summer just came out 3 or 4 months ago, and I had a couple already, and I really, really enjoy it. Nice and refreshing on a hot day like today.
So I've been talking about these bottled cocktails that you can buy now. It's kind of the new thing. And so I found some canned Moscow Mules by a company called, what is it called? Salt Point is the company. And so it's a vodka, ginger beer, lime concoction, 2 cocktails in each can. The thing about it, and it's really about all these pre-made cocktails for me, is just they're way too sweet.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, if you made these less sweet, maybe some people would buy more, but maybe these cocktails are really for people who don't like the taste of alcohol. It's quite possible. But so I have my tin here with the straw. And so we're doing that. And basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting it big time. I poured like half of the thing, and then I poured some sparkling water in there, and then I put a little bit more. So to cut out the sweetness, because the sweetness was driving me nuts, and now it's much better. I just created the better version of the Salt Point cocktail by adding some sparkling water in it.
Does that one come with mint already added in it, or do you do that on your own? Because like a mule, you usually put a little mint in there.
We do have, I think we have a mint. Is it a mint tree or a mint plant?
A mint bush. I think we have like 3 different ones in our backyard.
Yeah, I think we have one in our backyard. So
nice.
I did not. So this is just straight up vodka, ginger beer, and lime.
See, they could make it a little less sweet and still taste good if they would also discover mannitol. Right? That's all they need. A little bit of mannitol in there. Get rid of the sugar.
A little bit of mannitol, and and then you're good to go. All right. So what did we miss in the 10 days since we last recorded? I just put together a list, and we can talk through this list. And if you have something that I didn't add, then you can bring it up. So what's happened since we last recorded? Well, the Warriors won the championship.
Congratulations.
They won the NBA championship. I was, thank you very much. I was at the parade yesterday with Brian, Hot Take Bry, and I, and his friend and his friends, and that's and his significant other, Danielle. So we it was a lot of standing. It was one of those moments where I was like, am I really getting old? Because there was a moment, and we weren't even there for that long, but you're standing on pavement. It's Market Street, and you're just on the sidewalk. And my lower back starts to lock up on me for standing.
Yeah.
Now, it's quite possible, because I was wearing a backpack, because I had some stuff in my backpack, and I kind of wore it off the side of my shoulder. So based on how I was standing, I could have tweaked something. But man, there was still 4 hours left of this parade. Let's see, 4 hours? No, it's about 3 hours left of this parade. And so I had to figure out how to try and keep my back loose and stand in a certain way and bend. And it was so frustrating. But yeah, we get to see all the players. They're on their little buses, and I'll let Brian tell this story because we're going to record Thursday night. So it's Tuesday night that Brad and I are recording. We're going to record the death lineup Thursday night after the draft, and I'll let Brian tell this story in full detail. But basically, Brian had his camera, and he was he's taking video of a lot of stuff, and one of the Warriors coaches, he comes over. And he's like, hey, did anyone get this video of him? He was basically shooting like a play basketball into somebody was holding like a play hoop, and he shot it from the bus or whatever. And he wanted video of it. And Brian's like, oh, yeah, I got it. And so he's like, oh, well, can you take down my number and text it to me?
Oh, geez.
And so Brian was like, okay. And he's like trying to get the guy's number, and you can't really hear because there's a lot of commotion going on. So eventually we get the number. And then he looks at me and he goes, who is that? And I was like, I don't know. And so who I thought it was? I don't know if you saw this, but people who are listening to this probably saw this. There's a guy, I think his Twitter handle is Big Dawes TV, and his gimmick is that he dresses up like Klay Thompson.
Oh, yes, I have seen this guy.
So this guy got kicked out of he's no longer allowed in Chase Center because he snuck in through security pretending to be Klay Thompson. And he went to
and he shot around, right?
And he shot some hoop. I mean, in some that is very respectable. Like, oh, you did it. You got through it. But in other things, it's like, how do we know this guy's not like a serial killer? So
exactly.
Anyways, so I was like, is it that guy? Is that the guy? And I knew it wasn't. I was kind of joking.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Brian went on the Warriors coaching staff, and there were two guys who it kind of could have been, and it turns out that it's Chris DeMarco, who's been a coach on the staff for a little while. So I don't know. I think Brian's going to try and maybe get him on a podcast or something. So that'll be cool. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Brian he came to us, and Brian he was quick on the trigger with the video. So I'll let him tell that full story on the death lineup. Okay. What else happened? While Brad was gone, the Giants went 5-3. So when you left, it was Saturday. We'd recorded the podcast. The Giants and the Dodgers had yet to play game 2.
Actually, Sunday. No,
you're right.
Yeah, we recorded right before the sweep.
You're right. Yeah. It was Sunday. And
it was all us.
They swept the Dodgers. They won on Sunday to sweep. I was at a graduation party, and I was trying to watch on my phone through the At-Bat app. And we were talking about how this app is the worst thing of all time because it will tell you ball in play, and then you have to wait for like 5 minutes to figure out what happened.
Yes.
And so the Giants won. It was not the best way for me to watch, but I was happy to see them win. And then we also talked about how they were playing two teams that they really needed to beat. The Royals came to town. Bobby Witt Jr. The Royals announcers were just calling him Junior, by the way. In a world where Ken Griffey Jr. exists, can you just call Bobby Witt Jr. Jr.?
No, you absolutely can. I guess if you're the Royals and the best player you've had in the last couple of decades was George Brett, I guess maybe you can have your own junior at some point, but no disrespect to, I can't think of any good players.
Zach Greinke?
Sure. Zach Greinke. I mean, Greinke did most of his damage after he left there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And really, I mean,
who was there? Who was there?
Well,
yeah. Who's the MVP of the World Series when they won it?
Probably Hosmer. That's a good question. What was that? 2015?
15, right after.
Sure wasn't 2014.
Yeah, right. Well, you could say Sal Perez is. He in a very hard position. He is still putting up numbers, and maybe it's going to catch up to him because he's still playing catcher. But
and you nailed it. He was the World Series MVP.
Okay, there you go. But you're right. They haven't had that guy who they're hoping Bobby Witt Jr. can become, which is that homegrown talent who's with the team for 15 years. And, whatever Mike Trout is to the Angels, that's what they would love Bobby Witt Jr. to be. Though I'm sure they hope I'm sure they would hope to go to the playoffs a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. So they take 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. They lose the day game, which would have been Wednesday day game. And then they go to Pittsburgh Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They win the first 2 games. And by the way, this was part of my list. Rodon goes Dodgers on Saturday, and then Pittsburgh, and he looks like the ace again from the beginning of the season. Like those were 2 really good starts
for sure.
So they beat the Pirates the first 2 games. Then it's game 3. It's Sunday. It's Father's Day. They got Sawinski. Is that the guy? Is that the kid's name with 3 home runs?
Yeah,
Sawinski.
Yes,
That's brutal. All of their runs. He hit 3 solo home runs, and they won. And so one of these home runs. So Alex Cobb is also back. That's what happened since Brad went on vacation.
Yep.
Alex Cobb threw a hanging sinker that had the ball. I think the umpire might have scribbled "hit me" on the ball right before Cobb threw it, because he was a hanging sinker, and Sawinski just hit this thing out. And then Tyler Rogers threw his 73-mile-per-hour rise ball, and he hit that thing out, and then they won the game. And this is after Thairo Estrada had hit a home run in the top of the 9th to tie it.
And I still have not seen that highlight of Tyler Rogers giving up the home run, because there are some highlights that you miss that you just don't need to see. I can imagine it because you texted me and you said, all I saw was wow. And then I was like, oh crap. So I had to go look, and it was a home run, walk off. And then you get the alerts, from MLB, the MLB app. And then you said, what did you say about Tyler Rogers again?
I think I said something about, I don't care what the stats say. He's a 6th inning reliever now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I knew, I'm like, no, that's the highlight I don't need to see. I just don't need to see it.
By the way, Disco's running into trouble. I don't think he's going to be long for this game. First and third, 1 out for the Braves here. Giants still up 4-2 though, and Matt Olson at the plate.
How many pitches? I've got him at 40. What is he? 49 right 49. Now?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll see what type of we'll see what type of leash Kapler has, because as they do, bullpen's been thrown a lot as well. And Olson just hit a bomb. They're up 5-2, or they're up 5-4.
Yeah, I'm behind on you by a couple of by about a minute. Before he was injured, he only pitched in 3 games. And hadn't thrown more than 83 pitches in any of those 3 games. 83 in his 3rd start, though, is quite a bit for, it was April 21st against the Mets. It's just one of those things. You're coming back from an injury, you're rusty. I know everybody's going to hate on him. Gave up 5 runs in 2 1/3 innings. So, but, he's still touching 95 on the gun. Slider looks good. Yeah, that's a jack. Wow. I told you before we went on the air, I said I don't really want to get into a home run contest with the Braves, but it's 94 degrees at game time there in Atlanta. Giants are only down by 1 run in the 3rd. I mean, there's 6+ innings left to go, so
yeah, and the Giants have some guys who can hit the ball at a ballpark, though a couple of those guys are struggling here. I think Wilmer Flores, I looked up, he's hitting 150 over the last 2 weeks. And we have Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff's hitting okay, 242, couple jacks. Estrada has a couple jacks. Austin Slater has a couple jacks. Brandon Belt's come back, which is another thing that has happened in the last 10 days since you left. Brandon Belt is back. He hit a home run. I think it was on the first day that he came back. So, yeah, the Giants are, because of this starting pitching, which really has been, Logan Webb just keeping him in ball games and being the only real guy who can stretch it out. Now that Rodon looks to be, back to what he was, that's the second guy. But, Wood will throw 6 innings. Cobb will throw 6 innings. And, that's why they needed Desclafani to come back, because they need him to be able to work deeper into games. Sling and Sammy Long can only come in and put up zeros, in these 3-inning starts for him. So much, but this is the team
and
that they built.
And no Junis.
And no Junis. Junis is on the DL.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, and I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but if you were to put money on it, who is in the starting rotation by the end of the season? Is it Desclafani, or is it Junis, or is it both?
I think it could be both. I think it could be both. Because you would go what? You'd go Rodon, Webb, or Webb, Rodon, Wood. So that's 3. Desclafani, Junis.
Cobb.
Who am I missing? Cobb. The Giants could definitely be that team that when September hits, they go, we're going to 6-man rotation. I think that could happen. I really do think that could happen.
You want Webb and Rodon to have to wait an extra day, though? It almost feels like you could go Webb and Rodon, and then I don't know, like just mix and match guys for those next 3 starts. Like,
you could do that, or you could go Webb, Rodon, Wood, Cobb, and then a Disco Junis combo. And you have those 2 guys going.
You could at least get your 6 with those guys.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's of course saying all 6 of those guys are healthy,
right,
in September, which is hard to say at this point, because Giants have been bouncing that back and forth with their starters. Just somebody comes off the IL and then somebody else is hurt. So
right. And then, so what else has happened here since Brad left? Well, Brandon Crawford slid into 4th place in the most played games in San Francisco Giants history. He's over 1,500 now. That's so crazy. B-Craw, if Bobby Witt Jr. becomes, I think they hope that he's a little bit of a better player than B-Craw. But if you can play, with the Giants, what did B-Craw come up? 2012? 11?
Yeah,
2011.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I think it was 11.
Yeah, it was 11. The Grand Slam in Milwaukee was 11.
Right. So, that's a good career for him. And he came up a little later in his years. I think, how old is Witt? Is Witt 20?
God, yeah, he's like 20, 21.
So yeah, he's a little bit younger than B-Craw, but that's kind of who they're wanting him to be. And Brandon Crawford, he hasn't always been an all-star, but he's always been consistent with the glove, and he's always been that Bay Area kid who wanted to play here. So it's awesome to see him on that list.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he came up, let's see, 2011. He was 24 years old. So yeah, let's take a look at Bobby Witt Jr. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like me to put Witt Jr. in the search. Oh, come on.
What really sucks is that we are old enough to remember when Bobby Witt Sr. was a rookie for the Texas Rangers.
Yes. Oh, how about this? Baseball Reference doesn't even have Junior after his name.
Oh, wow. It's just Bobby Witt.
Yeah, they've got Bobby Witt and Bobby Witt.
Huh.
And so you got to pick the right one. 22 years old. He's actually 22.
Okay. Oh, so, he's older than I thought.
Yeah. He turned 22. Oh, well, he turned 22 about 5 days ago.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go. And yeah, the situation with Crawford is kind of fun to see, because it's like one of our guys. We've always seen those lists of players. It's like, Mays and McCovey and Cepeda are on like these longevity lists, and you're like, gosh, not a lot of like the current guys are on those lists, but now we have Brandon Crawford for games played. And then what else happened? Well, the Giants claimed a guy by the names of Yermin Mercedes, and he is his nickname the Yerminator.
The Yerminator, yes, the Yerminator, which I think is probably one of the best nicknames in all of baseball, but it's only a great nickname if you come up and actually mash the ball.
Yes.
So if he comes up and hits 205 with a home run and 75 at bats, then no, Yerminator, that nickname sucks. So
so the Giants claim him off of waivers, and I think the question is, why would the White Sox DFA him? Like what's the deal? Well, he is 29 years old. He made his debut as a 27-year-old, and he's let's see, he in 2021 he hit 7 jacks, hit 271 with a 404 slugging as a DH mostly. And I think the Giants are just trying to find anybody who can play catcher, but it doesn't even seem like he's that much of a catcher these days. What do you remember, or do you have any knowledge of sort of what his deal is at this point?
I don't know. I think Brian had mentioned that he didn't want to play catcher anymore.
Yeah,
but I have not seen that information. Not quite sure of that. If that's the case, that's too bad, because like Brian had mentioned too, you want a job in the major leagues right now. Catcher is kind of a hot spot to be.
yes.
And the Giants, especially, everybody knows their catching situation, especially us fans. We know it's pretty rough right now. I mean, Casali does a great job behind the plate, and he can hit for the most part. He does a good job with hitting. Austin Wins hit a home run tonight. We talked about that earlier. He's up now with 2 runners on, so here's his chance to have another 3-run home run. And you're probably ahead of me, so don't tell me any bad news. Please don't tell me any bad news.
It's 1 and 2 right now.
Okay. I know we're also very good at grounding into double plays lately.
Yes. Yes. So, the fact that he did like a dance on his Instagram page after the Giants claimed him. He was very happy. He was very happy to be off of the White Sox. And I forgot about this, but he's the guy who Tony La Russa chastised for hitting a 3-0 home run. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
So that, I'm sure he's pretty happy that, he is not under the tutelage any longer of old man La Russa. By the way, Wins doubled and scored 2.
Nice.
Or no, scored 1. So Giants are back tied 5-5.
Excellent. And didn't Yermin hit that 3-0 pitch too off of a position pitcher?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was off of a position player pitcher. They were already up fairly big, and he said 3-0, and he goes, "Nah, I'm going to hit this one up."
Yeah, Joey Bart's like, "Hey, you don't make fun of people hitting home runs." Yeah. So the Giants then they had to DFA Michael Papierski. So the last lineage to Mauricio Dubon, not even on the team anymore. Though did he get claimed by anybody?
Not that I know of yet. I don't think they announce it. It's usually a couple days after the waivers ends for that player. Then they'll announce who claimed him.
Yeah,
and
Joey Bart
sounds
like Joey Bart will get most of the ABs in AAA anyways. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and Dubon hasn't been hitting that well either for for Houston. And of course, as soon as they bring up his horrible stats, he hits a jack into the
I know.
Crawford boxes on Sunday night. Although I think that they did the stat cast on it, and that was the only ballpark that would have been a home run in. So,
Oh, really? I know. I just know he hit it like really, really high.
I think it was like 340.
Okay.
And yeah, I think StatCast showed 340. Only ballpark this would have been a home run in.
Oracle Park was like, nah, bro.
Yeah, they're like, no, we would have knocked that down 8 times with the wind and seagulls and whatever else.
All right. So the series with the Braves. Obviously, Desclafani's start wasn't probably what he had hoped it to be, giving up 5 runs in 3 innings. We'll see if he comes out for the 4th. But ultimately, this is the kind of team that the Giants are going to be competing with all season long for these playoff spots. Now, I'm not saying that the Braves or the Giants cannot compete for their divisions. Like the Giants are only 3.5 games behind the Dodgers. But the Mets are just like boat racing right now. The Mets are 45-24. So the Braves sit 5.5 games behind the Mets. And it looks like the Giants will take the lead here. Sacrifice fly. Oh, no. They called Crawford out. And Crawford kind of slid really late on the slide at the plate. And he may have jammed himself. But it looked like he was safe to me. So they may have to look at this one. But anyway, the Braves, like, we looked at the Braves early in the season and they were kind of playing 500 ball. And I was like, maybe that World Series, just the shine is now off. And then they ran off a 16-2 last 18 games. So they're really on fire right now. I think Crawford's got to be safe, by the way.
I'm finally getting it. Man, I'm way behind you.
Yeah, he's way safe. Jeez, but he may have twisted his ankle.
Oh, God, yeah, he's safe. Yeah, not even close.
Yeah. But yeah, so Atlanta 39 and 29. We'll just look. We might as well. We have time. We'll look at the wild card race here. Atlanta 39-29. Giants are 37-29. So a 1 game behind them. The Padres 42-27. So they're the leader for the top wild card spot in the National League. And St. Louis, who always seems to be just right there fighting with the Giants, 38-31. So they and the Giants are almost exactly the same. Giants have a 0.1 winning percentage higher. But those are the 4 teams, unless Philadelphia, who's also been playing well, kind of sneaks in. They would be 5 teams really vying for these 3 spots. San Diego, we let's look at the run differential. San Diego is plus 65, Atlanta plus 47, Giants plus 42, but the Cardinals plus 59. The only real flaw with the Cardinals is that they are under 500 away, which means that they're playing really well at home. But I know it's early. 3 teams are going to make the playoffs out of these teams, unless St. Louis is very close to Milwaukee too. This could be Milwaukee sitting in this slot. What do you think of the Giants' chances right now? Because I would say after they swept the Dodgers, I was really feeling the juju with the team. But then they kind of played with the Royals a little bit. They kind of played with the Pirates. And then, now they have Atlanta, and Atlanta beats them in the first game of the series 2-1. Logan Webb competed. If the Giants could hit with runners on base, they possibly would have won that game.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. What is your feeling about handicapping this wild card chase?
So as it is, of course, the Giants are losing frustrating games. The last 2 games, both walk-offs, and I think he's safe, right? They called him safe. So Giants are up 6-5 now. That trend has to kind of even out. And you know how it goes in baseball. You're gonna lose some of those games, and then you're gonna end up winning some of those games. So when July rolls around, the Giants' luck may totally change on those in those types of games. When they're playing some home games, they're going to get a couple of walk-offs and it'll kind of even out. Giants are definitely a playoff team. I'm taking a look at the fan graphs. I love to look at the fan graphs playoff odds. They're always fun to look at. They take in consideration like the entire 25, 26 man roster and then the 40-man roster. Who do they have to replace players if players get hurt and whatnot? And then that's how they go with wins. They do the Monte Carlo system where they, do like thousands of simulations and whatnot. So right now the Giants are hanging in there at 61.8% chance to make the playoffs. Dodgers are at a low. They're usually around the 97 to 99%, chance to make the playoffs. Right now they're at 92.9. They've had two major injuries in Walker Buehler and Mookie Betts, two really big injuries. Then looking at the Padres, 90.2% chance to make the playoffs. Mets are at 97.3. That's usually where the Dodgers are. Braves are at 85.3. Brewers at 76.9. So then you've got the Giants at 61.8. Then you got the Cardinals at 50.8. Then you got the Phillies at 41.3. Looking at their roster up and down, they don't have the same 40-man that the Giants have. They don't quite have the same 40-man that the Cardinals have. So the Giants, I think they're going to secure that 5 spot when it comes down to it. They could even get the 4 spot. They could jump above the Padres at some point. Who knows with the Dodgers? I mean, their injuries, are they going to catch up? Looking at the win the World Series odds. So the Yankees they have 100% chance to make the playoffs right now.
What if they already hit the magic number?
Yeah, exactly. They're done. They're in the playoffs. They have 100% chance to make the playoffs. They only have a 13.4% chance to win the World Series versus the Mets 13.1, the Astros 13.7, a higher percentage. And the Dodgers are, again, that low 11.4% chance to win the World Series. The odds makers are not liking their chances right now to win the World Series, the Dodgers. And usually they're the favorites. They're up there. I mean, they're huge. I mean, the Yankees are 50-17 right now. Dodgers are 40-25, but they've kind of been floundering lately ever since they've
definitely been underachieving because
I
have a buddy and so I say that they're underachieving, but they're still, plus 114 in the run difference.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have a buddy who's a Dodger fan, and he's so disappointed in this team. And so I was kind of teasing him. So I was teasing him at the beginning of the season. I was like, you guys, this is the 27 Yankees all over again. It's win World Series or bust for you guys. You guys better break up this entire team if you don't win it all. And so I was just kind of messing with him, putting some pressure. But he came back when the Giants swept, and he's like, Dodger disappointment. And I'm like, come on. Like, they're
June.
still a really good team. It's June. And he's like, there's just something about the team that I don't like. They're almost like they're almost too analytical. They're almost too machine-like. Where's the personality? Like that kind of stuff. And like, I can kind of get that. Like, you root for a team, like think about the 2010 Giants. The Band of Misfits was Andrew Baggerly's book. And then the 2012 Giants were more like Posey's team, right? They were more like buttoned down and a little bit more of like a the kind of the opposite personality wise of that 2010 team. So I get that perspective, but Dodgers still good. They still have the most talent in an everyday lineup. I would say that even with this Yankees team, I still think the Dodgers have the most talent. But like you said, with the injuries, what happened to Betts?
So there was a collision between him and Bellinger when he was coming in on a fly ball and he cracked his ribs. Jeez. So he's going to be out. They're not given a timetable though, but cracked ribs, and then it was his right side. So swinging with cracked ribs is not really a thing you can do.
Yeah.
So who knows how long that injury is going to be. And Walker Buehler is not even going to throw until late July, early August.
Hurt his elbow against the Giants.
Right. But if there's any team in the majors that will go get a piece that they need and have the farm system to be able to do that, it's the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're set up to do that type of stuff. If they need a piece or two, they'll go out and get it. I don't think Trace Thompson is that is that answer, but they traded for him. It officially went through yesterday. So
yeah. I wonder if they're going to start. They may have to start the clock on one of these youngsters that they have too.
They could do that, but knowing them, I think they're going to want to vet. They're going to start looking around, poking around with the Reds and what is it? Malley, good pitcher for the Reds. There's guys all over the place that they can kind of start looking around and looking at the Pirates and see, hey, who do the Pirates have? Brian Reynolds, can they snatch him away? Because the Pirates are getting to the point where they're going to have to start paying Brian Reynolds pretty soon.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be players like that. I would have thrown out some numbers. I pulled some numbers from the last 2 weeks. Speaking of playoff odds for the Giants, I want to see what you think is going to be more sustainable for the Giants going forward. What's going to change in this? So I pulled offense and pitching numbers for the Giants for the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the offense is polarizing.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We've been frustrated with it. We've had our hat in our hand and tossed it in the air when the Giants have runners at second and third with nobody out and they don't score a run. So the bright side the last 2 weeks is the Giants get on base. They're first in the entire league the last 2 weeks in walk percentage at 11.3%. They're also 28th in the league out of 30 teams in batting average at 207. So they're walking, they're just not getting the hits. They're fifth highest in strikeout percentage at 25.3%. So all of that combined gets them 24th over the last 2 weeks in runs scored, 24th in hard hit percentage. That's another problem. They're just not mashing the ball. They're down to 34.5%. And 23rd in exit velocity at 87.9%. So take a look at the pitching. Giants are second in walks per nine. They're only given up 2.16 walks per nine in the last 2 weeks. They have the best ERA in the majors as a pitching staff as a whole at 2.08 over the last 2 weeks. Third best FIP, because we always talk about ERA versus FIP. Your ERA could suck, but if your FIP is good, that's going to kind of even out.
Yep.
Well, their FIP is third best in the league at 3.36.
So that tells us maybe the defense has started to buckle down a little bit as well.
It's quite possible as we see Joc Pederson out in left field having fun, ball right at his face, and he ducks out of the way, makes the catch though. Second in ground ball percentage as pitcher, and that's what the Giants always pride themselves on. They go out and try to get pitchers who hit the ball on the ground or who throw, and then the batters hit the ball on the ground.
Yep.
But again, you have to have the defense for that, and we've talked about that this season. So they're second in the league in the last 2 weeks in ground ball percentage at 47.7%. But they're only 23rd in the league in Ks per nine at 7.71. So they're still putting the ball in play quite often. It's usually a ground ball. Their FIP is really good. Their ERA is really good. Do you think that pitching is going to last longer than this hitting slump will last? Because something's got to, if the Giants are going to start to become an elite team, if they're going to start to catch the Dodgers and the Padres, only 3.5 games back, but if they're going to start to catch them and overtake them, this pitching's got to stay. And that hitting's got to turn around. Situational hitting's got to turn around.
Yes. I really think it is who is Alex Cobb for the Giants? And we've talked about this. I'm not the biggest Desclafani fan. Like even last year in the first half of the season, I thought there was some smoke and mirrors to it. Now, I will admit he had a really good first half last year, but then the second half was so bad. And I'm just a fan of consistency. Now you don't have to be great every single start. That's not going to happen. No. You have your ups and downs, but just a little bit more consistency. And so I look at Desclafani as kind of like, I don't really believe in him. Now the Giants believe in him because they signed him to a 3-year deal, which I'm not so sure about that one. But I really do think it's Cobb, right? Because Cobb as your 4-man, if Cobb can eat up some innings and Cobb can keep them in ball games, because, not to discredit Alex Wood, but he is like the perfect number 3 starter, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to dazzle you. you're more than likely not going to get blown out when he's on the mound. He's going to give you 6 innings. He's going to give up 2 or 3 runs every start. That's just who he is. He's not going to strike out a ton, but he's not going to get killed. And so you at least know there is consistency in that. He's not going to throw a no-hitter, but he's not going to kill you. So Cobb is really the swingman to me because I fully believe that Desclafani, you kind of go with it, it's either Desclafani or Junis, and then all of a sudden, Desclafani finds some mystery injury, and Junis is just the 5th starter. But if Cobb can actually give you a solid innings, he throws that hard sinker, he gets strikeouts, but he also gives up a lot of home runs, and the Giants just gave up another one to Acuna right now. So it is now 6-6. So Zach Littell, who has not been having the greatest year so far, gave up another one. Or actually 7-6. I guess there's
I was gonna say somebody just got hit in the foot that I'm watching. So I don't think I can catch up. There's no catch. All right, here we go. Go live. Come on.
This game, by the time it's all said and done, we could have both teams in double digits.
Well, there goes our sparkling ERA that I just quoted.
I know.
And our sparkling FIP.
Do I believe in Alex Cobb? I've watched this guy, and the way that he pitches, he's a gamer. I just don't know if his recipe for success actually fits who he is at this point. Maybe there was some injuries, and maybe he is going to sort of settle down, but he just gives up a lot of bombs. And you're not used to, with Giants pitching, you're not used to these guys giving up a lot of bombs, except for today for whatever reason. So I'm really watching him. I think the temperature of the starting staff will kind of be with him, because if he can do it, then the Giants have one of the best starting staffs in all of baseball, like both divisions. Both leagues. But if he is kind of just average, then I'm not so sure that the pitching will stay up as it's been.
But didn't they used to call Fulton County Stadium the launching pad?
Yeah.
Back in the
day. Also called it Murph's Turf.
That's right. I'm glad that never caught on. I'm with you on that. I think, that the Fulton County Stadium, the launching pad, that was the nickname for it, because a lot of home runs were hit there. It's 94 degrees.
Yeah.
94 degrees, humid. The ball is carrying. Speaking of humid, we'll get to baseballs in a second, because that was a quick little interesting thing that we read today. That was reported by
the mud.
The mud, yes, the mud that's going to be used on the baseballs, which has been used for years, many years, but they're going to go back to doing it a certain way. But the hard part that I have, the hard part that I have trying to figure out is this Giants offense. And I think it's partly due to the fact that there are just so many injuries on the offensive side of the ball that there's no consistency. There are no consistent at bats. We just don't have enough hitters seeing live pitching day after day. So that's why you get the hard hit percentage is down. The exit velocity is down the last 2 weeks. The runs scored are down the last 2 weeks. It's hard to keep with the trend when your pitching is lights out and you're not giving up any runs. And then it's like, well, instead of scoring 5 runs a game like we did earlier in the season, let's just score 2 runs a game and let's keep these games close. It's frustrating to watch as a fan. So I can't figure out this offense the last couple of weeks. I thought, especially with tonight, 6 runs scored so far, starting to kind of turn around a little bit. So that's a little bit exciting to watch. But
can I ask you one question about this offense?
Mm-hmm.
If you are on the other side, who's the one guy you circle in this lineup and you go, you know what? We're not going to let this guy beat us. We're going to pitch around this guy, or we're going to try and make sure we're going to pitch the hitters in front of him really hard so that, he doesn't come on with anybody on base. I guess the answer is probably Joc. But after that, who is it? There's nobody that I think anybody is really that scared of when you're looking at, who are you circling? I mean, maybe it's Belt if he can kind of get his swing back a little bit from injury, but everybody else is ultimately underperforming.
Yeah, and that's true. When you look at home runs, the last 2 weeks, Giants are 23rd in the league. Let me erase these numbers here. The dates, the last 2 weeks. Let me look at now. I got to change the custom date range. I'm going to go back to March until now. So when you look at the home runs on the season, Giants are 10th overall. So yes, the home runs aren't coming like they used to earlier in the season, but I think that's kind of the beauty of this team. Let me throw the positive spin on this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is one person other than Joc Pederson that you look at and you say, well, we have to avoid him. It's not like Acuna Jr. where it's like, ooh, don't pitch him down the middle.
But isn't that
The
ultimately
Giants,
what the Braves have? They got like 5 guys that the Giants are like, oh man, we can't let this guy beat us.
yeah, and like the Dodgers, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But the Giants are hanging right in there with the way that they play baseball. They play baseball by getting on base, walking, seeing a lot of pitches, getting to your bullpen. And I think that's the beauty of this team. And I think that's what Farhan has built to say, you don't have one guy that can beat you on the Giants. There are many guys that can beat you on the Giants. Austin Wins, 3-run home run today. Nobody wanted Austin Wins. The Giants took Austin Wins, and here he is, hitting a home run, and the Giants go up 4-0 earlier in the game. So I really do think, and again, the positive spin, I think that's the nice thing about this team is that you can't say, well, let's just pitch around Joc Pederson because nobody else on this team can hit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, I like that. It's sneaky. It's how the Giants were scoring so many runs earlier in the season. Thairo Estrada, you're pitching around Thairo Estrada to get to somebody else. Thairo Estrada was on a tear for a while. No, you're not. You're still pitching to him because you know that he could also cool off. But then you never know when the next guy hitting after him is going to heat up. So that's really what I love about this team.
Is there a Farhan Zaidi-ish player who is out there? Because I sent you the list of Jim Bowden's top 125 guys most likely to be traded by the deadline. And the problem is because this is where baseball has gone, a lot of these guys are like first base, outfield, DH. And the problem for the Giants is they have like 20 of those guys.
Yeah.
And so, anybody who is like a middle infielder or maybe like a third baseman who hits like that, those guys are going to cost a lot of in return. So I wonder, like, you look at somebody like the one that I told you about was Kevin Biggio, only because he can play multiple positions, and he's probably overstayed his welcome in Toronto. And if the Giants probably feel like, oh, we could probably take this guy and make him a better hitter and make him fit our scenario a little bit better. Somebody like Garrett Hampson for the Rockies, though, he's probably a little bit. I don't know. I don't know who would be the player who would ask. The teams would ask for more in return. But I just wonder if there's a guy or two who are out there who the smart, the brainiac that is Farhan Zaidi is like, okay, we're getting that guy because he can do all these different things, and we can plug him in, and we can hit him against righties and sometimes against lefties. There's this guy. Only reason I even know who he is because he's on my fantasy team. Gio Urshela from the Twins.
There you go. Yeah,
he's actually having a pretty good season. Yeah,
they just got him. So
So there's guys like that who are kind of out there. Jonathan VR, like just people who seem like they can kind of fit in with the Giants, because the Giants aren't going to go for the biggest bat that's going to cost them one of their top 3 prospects. It's just not the way that they do business. They're not going to go, Benintendi from the Royals. Like, let's just go get him. No, it's going to cost you like, a top 5 prospect. So I don't know. I just wonder how Farhan's going to look at this trade deadline. Are we going to look, or when we're said and done with this trade deadline, are we going to go like, oh man, we were in for the best player? Or are we going to go, oh yeah, that makes sense because that's kind of who Farhan, who he's looking for, so that they don't have to give up on their guys.
Yeah. And there is not a Chris Bryant type of player available for the Giants, unless you said like Biggio. Right. I mean, but he's kind of a core guy of the team. I think they're probably a little frustrated with him. But I don't see the Blue Jays parting with him. I say there's not a Chris Bryant type of guy, as in a guy who can hit 30 home runs in a season. And
you plug him into
like
your 3 or 4 spot in the lineup.
Yeah. So there's not going to be that. I don't know who it's going to be. I think we'll get a clearer picture of who's available as we get closer to the deadline. But I can guarantee you there's going to be 2 things about this player. One, we probably didn't hear much about him leading up to the trade deadline. And 2, everybody's going to hate it. That's just what we do. We hate the trade for a guy that nobody's really heard of, but he could play 3 or 4 positions and he probably has really good on base percentage. And he's going to fit right in with what the Giants do. The Giants need some depth right now because I don't think they're going into the minors and grabbing VR. And I don't think they're going to say, come on up, your time, especially, Crawford is out of the game now with that tweak at home plate. And hopefully it's not a bad injury, but it didn't look pretty.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's not out for a long time. But at that point, do you bring up a VR and say, we need another infielder? Is this where you say, oh man, we really missed Dubon because we could use an infielder? But he was also struggling at the plate. He's hitting only 170 in Houston right now. So, but yeah, I guarantee you it's those 2 things. Somebody we haven't heard of, and all of a sudden the Giants are going to spring for somebody. They're not going to sell the farm on a player. And then number 2, you're going to hate it. Everybody's going to hate it. And he's going to end up being a guy who's probably going to win 2 or 3 games for the Giants down the stretch.
All right. So we're getting close to the end of this. Giants, the Crawford thing looks a little scary here. So gotta cross your fingers, hope for the best. The way that his ankle turned, and I think the catcher kind of leaned into it, not purposely, but just the way that Crawford's ankle kind of went under. Hope that it's twisted ankle. Maybe goes on the DL for 15 days and he's fine. But man, if it's like a break or something like that, that's bad news. All right. So at the end of this, I guess we're at the end of this. Let's talk about just this upcoming weekend. These games versus the Braves, I think, are very important. Now we can say it's June. Like you said, right? It's June. We still have more than half of the season left. But I do think when you're looking at what the teams are going to do as far as how good they are, you like to size yourself up against these guys. Like, it was important for the Giants to beat the Dodgers. And I think it's important for the Giants to measure up against the Braves. Now you can say, oh, the Braves are at home. It's a 4-gamer. And what did I call? I called Tyler Rogers a 6th inning pitcher. He's in the 5th inning right now.
Yeah, there you go.
So I do think measuring themselves against the Braves, it's a good kind of experiment. It's a good thing to analyze because you want to see how do we match up against the world champions who are good again, who have all this great hitting talent. So I think, they probably feel this is a 4-game series. Can they split? Can they, take, depending on this game, could you take 3? And if you took 3, how big of a jolt would that be coming back home? Because they do have a really bad team who's coming to San Francisco to play in the Cincinnati Reds. And the last time I said this, the Giants went to Cincinnati and lost 2 out of 3. And I think that was the most frustrating thing ever for the season so far, was them going into Cincinnati and not taking care of any kind of business. So what do you think about sort of the rest of this series? Obviously, the B-Craw thing is important. We'll see what happens there. But ultimately, being able to play with these guys heading into a home series with the Reds, which they should feel very confident going into.
Yeah, and again, tonight's kind of a must-win game. That's kind of funny to say in baseball when you have 162 games, but when you break it down to a series, right, it's kind of a must-win game. You lose on a walk-off last night, and you have a 4-0 lead early in the game, and now you're down 7-6 in the 5th inning. It's kind of you got to come back. You got to come back and you got to win this game, because you don't want to go down in the series 0-2 and only have 2 games left, and the best you could do is split. You want to win today because you got Rodon on the mound tomorrow, and then you got Wood on the mound Thursday morning, 9:00 game, 9 a.m. game.
Oof.
And then you come home and you've got Cincinnati, and then after Cincinnati, you've also got a really bad Tigers team too.
Yes.
So you're at home against 2 really rough teams. So if you can win this series in Atlanta 3-1 and ride some confidence going home, but again, bats, got to get the bats going, and they are tonight. But it always seems like when the bats start going, the pitching takes a tick down. And again, Desclafani coming off the IL, can't blame him. First start back, he's going to get stronger as time goes on. We're hoping for 2021 first half disco versus what we had after that. So super important. It's super important to pull this game off tonight and then get that win tomorrow with Rodon on the mound. And, hopefully go for a series win on Thursday.
All right. So we will see, hopefully, when we come back and do this show next Monday. We'll only have the 6 days in between, so we won't have the full week. But, I would like to see since we stopped recording, nice little 5-1 action there. We'll see. Tyler Rogers is doing pretty good here in this inning. I hope I didn't jinx him. But so I have full confidence that the Giants are going to pull this game out, because they don't lose when we record while we are watching them while they are playing.
Correct.
So I have full confidence that they're going to win this game. Maybe top of the 9th, little blooper shot by Tyro Estrada to score a couple runs and win the game. All right.
Or Joc Pederson, because that one time we were on the air, they were in Milwaukee for that 1 game series.
When that fan was talking trash to him and he told him to shut the F up or whatever, and boom.
And Joc went yak. So maybe we got a Joc home run tonight in Atlanta. That would be nice.
I'm in for it. Tyler Rogers might actually pitch another inning here. He's only thrown 12 pitches and got out of it, so he may throw a second inning.
That's like in Vegas when I put $5 in a slot machine the other day, and I was up. I won $15, but I just
gave it right back.
I pushed it, and it was all gone. So there goes my Starbucks.
All right. For Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.